15, 20 Gs? Sorry, maybe this is so complex and
no,
down the rabbit hole.
No. Okay, so let me answer your question for the first part. First part is you can't go FHA with an LLC. They won't allow you.
Got it.
The federally backed government loan, they will not allow you to put it in an LLC.
You can move it after, right?
Yeah, if you refinance, correct. Only if you refinance. Okay, you have to refinance out of that loan product, which is an FHA. Now, there are loan products like what they call DSCR, which are debt service coverage ratio loan products. Those loan products, you can actually buy a property in an LLC. They actually require it, actually, matter of fact. But it's a different loan product. It's not a Freddie or Fannie loan product. And that's the reason why you're able to do it. It's a non-traditional loan product. And those, again, are 15, 20% down, minimum down payments. Now, go ahead to answer another question. So if you go and buy a property and it's FHA or conventional loan that you obtain the property with, and let's say 1 year, 2 year, 3 year down the road, you want to refinance and capture that equity, or maybe you just want to refinance for asset protection, you can refinance into a trust or an LLC, whatever you want to do. But you're going to have to get rid of that FHA loan. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Sorry. With that said, I'm going to use me at my house as an example. So I got conventional through Wells Fargo. I think it's like 4.25% interest or something.
Perfect.
Now, if I wanted to move my personal property into a trust, do I have to refinance that?
No, because there's one trust that you can do it with, and it's called a land trust. And the reason why is because the banks look at it for estate planning purposes. And so that's the type of trust that is recognized with your financial institution. Now, typically, if you go and call your bank and say, oh, I'm moving it into a trust, they're not going to like it. They're not going to like it. You don't need to tell them, by the way. Okay. Right now, you are the owner of that property, Lonnie. But if you create a trust, a land trust, or a lot of people will create a living trust, either irrevocable or revocable one. You need to talk to your lawyer, which makes most sense for you. But let's say you were to do a living trust or a land trust, you would now become a beneficiary of that trust, and that trust owns that piece of real estate. So if you're going to go doing that route, and you can do the same thing out, you don't have to call the bank up and say, hey, I'm deeding the property or the deed over into the trust. You can do that for estate planning purposes. Okay. And they do, a lot of banks do recognize that as estate planning purposes because it's an estate planning. And so here's what this prevents, Lonnie, let's put it this way. You own a property. I don't know what you bought it for, but let's just use some round numbers. Let's say you bought it for $250. It's worth $500, right? You have a $250,000 gap right now in equity. Lonnie, you go and die right now. You know, your family is going to have to go through probate on your property. And guess what? They're going to have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars in probate fees. They're going to have to pay estate taxes, all this nonsense bullshit just to get that property into their names, right? And access that property and that equity. You have to pay thousands of wasted money. But you know, if you were to die right now, you get hit by a car, and I don't mean to be so brutal, but this is real shit. If you go to die and they are beneficiaries of that trust, they avoid probate. They avoid estate taxes. They will save thousands and thousands of dollars and be able to control that asset within seconds of you being deceased. And I know that sounds crazy, and I know you're probably like, wow, this is very brutal, but this is the reality. We don't know, right? So yes, you can deed your property over. You could do it into a land trust. You do not need to call your bank. Just go ahead and structure it with your real estate attorney, and then your real estate attorney will do a recording at the property appraiser site. And on the property appraiser site, it will now show under your land trust versus Lonnie, your personal name.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Cool.
I got one to follow up with that. Since your holdings company in Wyoming, I'm assuming that you're the sole proprietor, like you're going to be the beneficiary. When you make all the land trusts, are they to you directly, or are they back under the holding company? And then the holding company is then privately owned by an anonymous person, which is you.
So I don't have the quite answer to that question just yet, just because I'm recreating some structure stuff right now. I'm recreating my structure, but I believe I'm going to have a trust that has the holdings company in it. And then I have the tree branches. I think that's the way it's going to I'm teeter-totting with the lawyer about some things right now, so I don't have an exact. But right now, the way I'm set up, I'm very protected. The assets are very protected, and I'm very hidden, right? And the way I'm structured, I'm just doing the living trust just because I'm doing some estate planning right now, and so that estate planning is what's pushing me to do the land trust and stuff like that. So remember, everyone's situation is a little bit different, but one thing you guys can take advantage of is going ahead to starting that anonymity, and you can go ahead and start out of Wyoming. So there's only 5 states that allow you to be anonymity, to give you that masking. That holdings company can only be out of 5 states. So Wyoming is one of them. So I don't know if that's why you're probably wondering, like, why Wyoming? I live in Florida, but yeah, so everything is out of Wyoming, and that's just the holding company. And we just look at that as a flow through entity, right? It's a flow through entity. The entity doesn't have a bank account. It don't do anything, right? It's just a flow through entity with my subsidiaries, which are the tree branches.